Hey guys, this is Frozen Things Studios here, and welcome back to another video. And today, I'll be reviewing every single Damien Chazelle movies leading up to Babylon. And yes, I promised this in my video where I reviewed like a bunch of movies back in December, and Babylon is one of them. And in that part of my quick movie reviews, I said that I was going to be reviewing every single Damien Chazelle movie leading up to my next viewing of Babylon, and I'll be doing an official review of it when I see the film for the second time. And now here I am, I'm actually doing my promise, and I'm going to be talking about Damien Chazelle's films. So, this movie review is going to be Whiplash. So Whiplash it came out in 2014 and is directed by Damien Chazelle. I know this is not his feature, it is a directorial debut film like I thought. I've never heard of his directorial debut, and honestly I don't feel like watching it right at the moment, but hopefully I can someday. And this movie stars Miles Teller, J.K. Simmons, Vanessa Benoist, and Paul Racer Tessera. And it tells the story of this young drummer, Miles Teller, who pretty much enrolls in this music school where the teacher, played by J.K. Simmons, is a cutthroat teacher, like one of the harshest teachers ever, and he'll stop at nothing in order to realize his students' potential, and that means pressuring at them, yelling at them, and stuff. And and of course, Miles Teller's character, Neiman, by the way, and J.K. Simmons' character is named Terrence Fletcher. Neiman must do everything he can to reach his dreams and be able to impress Terrence. So yeah, I remember the very first time I saw Whiplash. It was on a plane back in 2019. I was going to Paris, and during my trip there, I actually watched a bunch of masterpieces for the first time. I mean, in that same flight as Whiplash, I saw Back in the Future for the first time, and yes, and then this one. This was like the last movie I saw, and and like it was actually the right time because right before I left for vacation, I pretty much already like discovered Whiplash. I knew about it, and I was like, oh, I want to see this movie. If people think it's one of the greatest movies of all time, based on what I heard, people say it is the best movie of the last decade, of the 20th decade, and so I was very curious to check it out. And after seeing it on the plane, I was absolutely blown away by it. And rewatched it like I think two more times. So I rewatched it once in a pandemic, and then another time like later on during pandemic era, and now like I rewatched it a while ago for this review. This is pretty much my fourth viewing of this film, and let me tell you all, Whiplash still holds up to this day. It is an absolute masterpiece. It is incredible, and there's so many words you can use to describe this film. But I don't know what else what else is there to say other than this movie is a masterpiece and like so many other positive things. I think people have already went on and on and on about how incredible this movie is. I mean, you got like one of the greatest screenplays ever put to film. Period. I mean, you got such a sharp dialogue. I mean, man, the dialogue is absolutely incredible. I've never seen dialogue this good before. Like, I don't know if I would call this the best dialogue ever put to film because I'm sure there are some movies with some clever dialogue as well. I mean, screenplay wise, I'll say this one comes close. This one is certainly my top 10 best written films. Dialogue wise, like right up there, some of the best dialogue ever put to film. I mean, there's so many quotable lines and there's so many like brilliant pieces of dialogue that I could not praise enough of, especially one that I remember there no two there sorry I can't really say it I don't know how to say it, but I know it's like the one with there are no two words in the English language more harmful than good job. Oh yeah, I think that's pretty much the line. And yeah, and plus the message of this movie is very it's very deep and very relatable. I won't say deep, but it's very relatable. I mean, this yeah it's a very relatable message about following your dreams and following your inspirations, no matter what obstacles like what you face. And that's what I love about this movie. I mean, on paper, this movie is so simple, yet it manages to execute itself like very effectively with with such a brilliant script and sharp dialogue. And I just love the way this is written. And let and yes, of course. Well, I think the thing to praise about this film the most, I think we can all agree, it's the performances. I mean, wow, so many great performances. I mean, Miles Teller as Neiman. Neiman. Well, honestly, I would say that this is his second best performance. My personal favorite Miles Teller performance is Rooster in Top Gun Maverick. Personally, it's just my opinion, but this one is close. And then you got Melissa Benoist, who you may know her as Supergirl from the CW show, and Supergirl is actually my favorite CW show. But I think, despite the limited screen time that she has, I mean for quote unquote major character, she doesn't really have a lot of screen time. But I actually like Melissa in this film better than she was in Supergirl, and yeah, I'm not joking. And then we got the guy who plays the dad. He's a Stranger Things actor. I mean, wow, that's pretty much impressive for a Stranger Things actor to be in a film like this. And this guy who played Neiman's dad, Jim Neiman, he played Dr. Sam Owens in Stranger Things. So that's impressive. But I think this is pretty much a fact, and we can all agree. J.K. Simmons as Terrence Fletcher, wow, what an incredible, mind blowing performance. Wow, he is literally one of the greatest antagonists, like top 10 or 15 best antagonists of all time, and technically he is the antagonist because he's pretty much he pretty much cutthroat he's a cutthroat teacher. He pretty much threatens his students no matter I get his intentions. He tries to push the student harder than he ever could. But like if you don't know what an antagonist is, it's basically someone who gets in the main character's way, like an obstacle for the main character to face. Terrence is not an evil person. Like I'm sure you know that those kinds of villains. That's what makes Terrence Fletcher so unique. He's not a legit like evil villain. He's just a person. He's just a normal person who pretty much threatens his students. I'm sure you remember the scenes when they explained Sean Casey. He, there's a scene like Terrence Fletcher told them that Sean Casey was one of his favorite students, probably I think his favorite student, and then he died of a car accident. And then a couple of minutes later, Sean Casey was brought up again, and then the character who I think is Neiman's counselor, I'm assuming, said that Sean Casey died from committing suicide because of how Fletcher treated him. I believe the counselor more, or if she is a counselor, um, I believe her more because you could be suspicious that he might be that Terrence Fletcher might be lying. It doesn't really say, so I consider that nitpick. But like, let me know if you really if you know the real answer to how he got the wrong information. But yeah, and also speaking of Sean Casey, there was one scene that I did not think was very. There's one scene I got emotional, and I did not think I would get emotional. It's basically where Fletcher was telling his students about how much he loved Sean Casey, how much he praised him as as the best student in his school, and then he said that Sean this morning he found out Sean Casey died, and he was like literally crying, and you could really feel him like his acting in that scene felt so real. No one gives that scene credit. People are so like focused on him, like the part where he gets angry and yells. Like, yes, that is amazing. We've heard enough praise of that, but like, let's see where he mourns over Sean Casey. That's just powerful, real stuff, and that's probably to me probably the best acting from J.K. Simmons in this movie. Like the best scene was acting. Um, but of course, so I think the best scene in the film to me was is definitely the are you rushing or are you dragging scene, which is pretty much my favorite scene in the film, and you can actually and like with multiple rewatches, you can actually see how Terrence Fletcher starts to get mad. it's not because um it's not because this person's out of shooting, and he's not trying hard enough. How he gets mad at his students is when they don't know what they're doing. Like I'm sure you remember this guy who was like out of tune in the trumpet group, and then and then later on, like Terrence was asking who was out of tune, and then this guy like confessed it late, and then Terrence Fletcher got mad and yelled because of how he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know he was out of tune. That's when he gets mad. And I mean, when he can, like Terrence Fletcher didn't get mad at Neiman when he went out tune, because he knew that Neiman like was aware that he was like rushing or dragging, and then he started getting mad when Neiman didn't know if he was rushing or dragging, and that really makes like that's a really good motivation. and and yeah, I love how he doesn't go with the usual, like he the I'm gonna be a change teacher. I'm sure that part in the restaurant when when Terrence said that no, there there was a pair of parents who told who pretty much commented on Fletcher's teaching, talking about like how like bad he is as a teacher. Then he was no longer in the band, and then yeah. And then he said, "Oh, I'm not sorry. I want to push people." Like he explains the reason. He's not like, "Oh, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna be a nice, generous teacher." I mean, that would have kind of ruined the movie if they went for that direction. And then yeah, and speaking of that, the band name is Schaefer, and honestly, I feel like this was the wrong time to watch the movie, in my opinion. I mean, I'm glad I got to to review it, because it's one of the most beloved movies I've ever like heard, well, based on reviews. But like, I'm sure you'll know how I'm sure everyone's familiar with the Schaefer's incident. I know I didn't really want to talk about it on Instagram. I would have done it, but like I just didn't want to when how with the car crash situation, and the Chris Schaefer's, whatever you call it, I don't know pronounce the last name, but I know it's Schaefer, something like that. Him and then James's brother, the Schaefer's brother, both died, while James thankfully survived. I mean, now you may be asking me, what does this have to do with the move Whiplash? Well, the band name is Schaefer's, and honestly, that kind of like traumatized me, because I'm trying not to think about that accident. I mean, it's one of the most tragic deaths I've ever heard, and when I hear Schaefer's, like I think about like that incident, and man, it's just really sad to see like Chris die. I mean, like I guess I mean, how's like the main Schaefer member gonna work on his videos now? I guess he has to do them alone, or he has to get a new crew, but like let's not talk about that. I don't even want to make a video on that. But yeah. And of course, let's not forget the music. I mean, I mean, I love Whiplash. I mean, it's kind of a shame that I stopped doing drum classes due to scheduling conflicts. But if I mean, if I still did drum class, I would have like tried do Whiplash, and because I just love how catchy it is. Like it's just one of the best pieces of music I've ever heard. Honestly, like one of the best pieces of music I've ever heard in any movie. I meant one of them, not the best, just one of it. Because I just love it. And of course, well, the scene that everyone talks about the most, that ending. And man, that ending is really exhilarating. I mean, how Andrew just straight up like just walked in and then just started playing the drums, interrupting Terrence, and then he just wouldn't really stop. I mean, it literally went on for like 5 minutes of the ending, and then we see him like continuously drumming like even though the song was over, it's like I don't care. I'm still gonna like impress him. I'm gonna like show them all my skills. And yeah, it's kind of a shame we didn't see how the audiences reacted to Neiman's playing the drums and just extending it. I wonder how they really felt. I'm very curious about that. So yeah. And also, another thing that I really like was like when Neiman was hit by was run over by a truck, and then he had to like rush to catch up to the band, and he was like screwing up, and then he literally attacked Fletcher, and yeah, one of my favorite scenes. It was so intense, and yes, this movie is intense without any ending, and some other scenes as well. I mean, that's how you make a simple story actually well executed. So overall, Whiplash is nothing short of a masterpiece that absolutely deserves all the praise it gets. This is personally my second favorite Damien Chazelle movie. I know people say this is the best film he did, but to me personally, I like La La Land better, and La La Land is my favorite Damien Chazelle movie, and I know people say this is the best movie of 2014, but to me personally, my favorite movie of 2014 is Interstellar, a movie that I will be reviewing leading up to Oppenheimer. And yeah, I will admit that Whiplash is a better made film than Interstellar, but Interstellar just pretty much touched me more. It resonated with me more, and it pulled my heartstrings more. But I love Whiplash, and honestly, this movie should have won Best Picture over Birdman. No disrespect to Birdman, I really like Birdman, but I think Whiplash should have won Best Picture. So yeah, with that said, I'm gonna give Whiplash, of course, a 10 out of 10. This is also for my review of Whiplash. What is your opinion of the film? And if you haven't seen it yet, what are you doing? Go watch this. Don't live under a rock. So yeah, comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for my review of La La Land. So yeah, bye guys.